English speaking topics 26 to 35. 26. How do you handle it when someone lies to you? When someone lies to me, I try to keep my cool and stay calm in difficult situations. I believe it is better to talk politely than to argue. For example, I stay calm and try to understand their reason. 27. Do you think the internet is good for your life? Yes, I do. From my perspective, the internet is essential because it helps me study, find information, and connect with people around the world. For example, I use educational apps and interactive websites to study. That's why the internet is an important tool. 28. Should students or parents decide where to go to school? In my opinion, students should have the freedom to choose where they go to school because they know their own learning preferences. For example, a student who wants to study art might choose a school with strong creative programs. 29. What is your most treasured possession? My journal is my most treasured possession because it holds my memories, dreams, and personal growth. For example, I have recorded important moments and challenges in my life in my journal. That's why I value it so deeply. 30. Describe a tourist destination you would recommend to others. I recommend Nong Khai in Thailand because it is peaceful, rich in culture, and has several local foods. For example, some popular dishes are Nam Noong and Khao Piong. That is why I believe that Nong Khai is a great tourist destination. 31. Talk about a stressful experience you have had. From my experience, a stressful situation I have had was preparing for final exams at university because I had many difficult subjects to review. Every subject was challenging and required a lot of focus. To overcome the stress, I made a study plan and took short breaks, which helped me stay calm and focused. 32. Is social media harder or easier to connect with friends? From my perspective, I believe that social media makes it easier to connect with friends because it lets me talk to them anytime, even if they live far away. For example, I can connect with people around the world in just a few seconds. That's why I believe social media is an easier way to stay in touch with friends. 33. Advantages or disadvantages of watching television in a dormitory. In my opinion, watching television in a dormitory is beneficial because it helps students relax after studying. For example, shows like cartoons or reality programs can reduce stress for students. That's why I believe that watching TV in a dormitory has several advantages. 34. Should people work from home or in the office? From my perspective, I prefer working in the office because it encourages teamwork and better communication. For example, teams can share ideas and solve problems together. In conclusion, I believe that working in the office is more effective for collaboration. 35. What role does individual attention play in managing a small classroom? From my perspective, individual attention is essential for learning because it helps teachers understand each student's strengths and weaknesses. It also makes learning more effective and personalized. 36. How can teachers identify and support students who feel alone? From my perspective, teachers are important people who can support students who feel alone because they can notice changes in behavior and speak kindly to them. For example, teachers can encourage students who feel isolated during group work to build their confidence. That's why I believe teachers play an important role in supporting students who feel alone. 37. What is one effective way you manage stress and why do you think it works well for you? From my experience, I manage stress by exercising because it clears my mind and gives me more energy to study or work. For example, after a short run or workout, I feel refreshed and more focused. That's why I believe exercise is an effective way to manage stress. 38. Should creativity be encouraged in the workplace, or is following procedure more important? From my perspective, creativity should be encouraged in the workplace because it helps solve problems and improve ideas. For example, creative thinking can lead to better solutions and innovations. That's why I believe creativity is essential in the workplace. 39. Some people prefer using digital documents while others prefer paper documents. Which do you prefer and why? In my opinion, I prefer digital documents because they are easy to edit, share, and store safely. For example, digital files help reduce paper waste and can be accessed from anywhere. That's why I believe using digital documents is more convenient and environmentally friendly. 40. Apart from improved hand-eye coordination, what other useful skills can playing video games help develop? Video games can improve problem-solving, teamwork, and concentration. For example, strategy games teach players to think quickly and plan ahead. In conclusion, playing video games can help develop important cognitive and social skills that are useful in real life. 41. Do you prefer working in a group or by yourself? In my opinion, I prefer working in a group because it allows idea sharing and helps me learn from others. For example, working in a group helps me understand different perspectives and solve problems more effectively. That's why I believe working in a group is more beneficial for learning and success. 42. Should schools spend more money on sports programs or arts programs? From my perspective, I believe that schools should spend more on arts programs because they develop creativity and emotional expression, which are important for personal growth. For example, art activities help students express their feelings and think creatively. That's why I support schools investing more in arts programs. 43. Do you think national standardized tests are necessary, or should individual assessments be used instead? From my perspective, I support that national standardized tests are necessary because they ensure fairness and consistency in evaluating all students. For example, standardized tests provide equal opportunities for students from different schools to demonstrate their knowledge. That's why I believe national standardized tests are an important part of the education system. 44. How can schools encourage good study habits? From my perspective, I believe that schools can encourage good study habits by teaching time management and rewarding consistent effort. For example, teachers can guide students to create study schedules and recognize those who regularly complete assignments on time. That's why I believe schools play an important role in helping students build strong and lasting study habits. 45. Describe a place you go to relax. Why do you like this place? When I feel stressed or have a hard day, I go to the park near my home because it is quiet and full of trees. For example, walking there helps me feel calm and refreshed. That's why I like this place. 46. Some people think students should attend school in the morning, while others prefer starting later. Which do you prefer and why? In my opinion, I prefer studying later because students can get enough sleep and focus better in class. For example, starting school later can help students feel more refreshed and ready to learn. In conclusion, I believe that starting school later is better for students' health and academic performance. 47. Do you agree or disagree that schools should combine arts and sports in one curriculum? From my perspective, I believe that schools should combine arts and sports in one curriculum because both are effective for students' development. For example, they help students build teamwork, creativity, and discipline. In conclusion, combining arts and sports can support both physical and mental growth, making education more well-rounded. 48. Do you think a strict rule or a relaxed approach is better in school? From my perspective, I believe that a relaxed approach is more effective in school because it helps students feel comfortable and motivated. For example, when students feel safe to express themselves, they engage more. In conclusion, a relaxed approach encourages creativity and better student-teacher relationships. 49. Which is better, showing weakness or combining strengths? From my perspective, I believe that combining strengths is better than showing weakness because it helps people work together and succeed. For example, in a group project, different members bring different skills, and that teamwork leads to better results. In conclusion, combining strengths helps us achieve more and learn from each other. 50. Should schools allow students to use devices in school? From my perspective, I fully support that students should be allowed to use devices in school because they make learning more engaging and easier to understand. For example, educational videos and interactive applications help students absorb information faster and stay motivated. That's why I believe that digital devices are essential tools that can enhance the learning experience in today's classrooms.